What's up, Browns fans? Welcome to the Dawgs podcast. Let's kick this thing off.
Welcome to the Dawgs podcast with your hosts, Blake Renneker, Zach Kopp, Justin Charles, and Josh All.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Dawgs. We have a good season 1 finale lined up for you guys today. As you can see, we have a very special guest today in the studio. Zach Kopp finally back. It's good to see you. I thought maybe you disappeared. I was about to put out a missing persons report.
Right, yeah. I'm glad to be back. A few weeks off. I had a few weeks paid vacation.
It feels good to have all the dogs back in the studio for the finale. Before we jump into this show, remember to check us out on Facebook. If you like what you see, please share. That helps us out a ton. That's the biggest thing you can do to help out the show is share the episodes. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and please subscribe on YouTube. We want to give a huge shout out to all the new listeners and subscribers we've picked up on YouTube the last few weeks. We have listeners from Iceland to Canada all the way out to Arizona. We can't thank you guys enough for helping us grow this show into something special. It's gone bigger than anything we ever could have dreamed of when we started this, 6 months ago. So, again, thank you guys so much. If you'd like to get your thoughts on the show, remember you can drop us a voicemail on our website, www.thedawgspodcast.com. We have a few more we're going to play today. We always enjoy getting them, hearing what you guys had to say. It's a ton of fun for us to hear you guys. If you're listening to the show, if just listening to the show is more your style, you can catch us on Apple, Spotify, Google. Add us to your library. Maybe drop us a review. I think we got 1 review on there, so maybe we can double that and get up to 2.
A whopping 1.
Yeah. And lastly, we want to say thank you to Thrive Fantasy for sponsoring us this first season. Even though the NFL season is over, you can still use our promo code DAWGS, DAWGS, to get your 100% match on your deposit of $20 or more, up to $50. Play an NBA or any other sport you're into. So even though the NFL season's done, hop on Thrive. You can still play. You can still use our promo code. And big thanks to them for being our first official sponsor. Again, didn't think we'd ever get one sponsor, not alone one as cool as Thrive. So big shout out to them.
Nope, and big announcements coming in season 2 of the show, which will be April-ish. We'll let you guys know when that's starting.
Right. Yeah, we're going to take a couple weeks off, but when we come back,
we got some new stuff we're going to roll out. Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Yeah, Season 2, we're going bigger. The network upped our budget. So, we're going to have more special effects, more CGI, maybe be able to hire some better talent. Maybe season 2 will be different people. So like I mentioned, we have some voicemails we want to get into today before we get into the Mad Dog Awards. So, again, thanks for calling into the show. If you like what you hear, you want to get your voice on the show, again, go to www.thedawgspodcast.com. The link's right there on there. You just click on it, record your voicemail, send it to us. We'll play it live on the show.
That's right. First one is from Michael.
I want to talk about how we can't afford probably Rashard Higgins, Jarvis Landry, and Odell Beckham. I feel like Rashard Higgins and Landry are both slower players, and in that manner similar. Odell's the only one that really was speed, and Cardale Hodge. But it seems like we're going to have to let either Rashad or Landry go, as much as that pains me, since I actually like Landry better than Beckham. What are your thoughts?
What are our thoughts?
This is a tough one for me. This is a very tough one for me because I agree with him that, Higgins and Landry, kind of the same mold. Not necessarily when it comes to like slot receiver type, but they're not really burners as far as deep threats, take the lid off the defense. So if we can't afford to keep 3, which one do we keep? I'm afraid to lose Jarvis because of what he's meant to the team as far as changing the culture and what he means to the locker room.
Yeah. You still have the numbers? We talked about, what do they actually cost?
Yeah. I sent it. I mean, I could kind of wing it off the top of my head. I sent it to you guys the other day.
You did.
So Odell was right, I want to say, under 16 after, the initial contract, bonuses, all that stuff. Jarvis was actually right under 15, and then this is million, and then Higgins was actually 910,000.
Right.
Which is wild.
Higgins is going to cost more than $910,000 if we want to re-sign him.
Yep.
He's not gonna be at that level though of Jarvis and
No.
But,
What do we see for Higgins?
2, 3.
Yeah, I was going to say
three.
mids, millions, somewhere in there.
Yep.
Man, I don't want to lose any of. Can I just throw this out there? There's got to be a way to finagle these contracts to keep all of them. The Rams, I mean, look at the Rams. At one point, they were paying Gurley, Goff, Ramsey, Donald, Brandon Cooks, Robert Woods. They're paying all these guys. Why can't we? Got to be able to figure it out.
Yeah, and I don't know what their numbers, were and everything, but I know when we were talking the other day with Justin sent over, just Landry and Beckham, those two, their combined, their percentage of the total team cap was roughly 17%, so almost 1/5 of the cap we've got dedicated to 2 receivers.
Yep.
That's a significant chunk.
So I'm obviously I've been on the record saying I want to bring Odell back. I think we kind of all agree that we want to see what he can do. But do you keep Higgins and Landry if maybe you could bring in, I don't know, I'm just throwing like a Will Fuller. Obviously, he's not on the same talent as Odell, but I feel like
he'll play the same number of games.
I feel like he fits the kind of system we need. We need that burner that take the lid off the defense. So do we need a top talent like Odell to do what we need him to do, or do we just need a Will Fuller, a Deshaun Jackson? I'm not saying Deshaun Jackson now because he's getting old, but that type of player.
Go ahead. I was going to say, the way Baker played, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the Browns offense needs that type of player. Is Odell still that guy? I don't know if Odell still is that guy, the over the top, burner down the field. I don't know because he's few injuries into his career.
Before he got hurt this year, though, he was explosive.
Yeah, I know, but was he over the top, like throwing bombs, or was he could get separation and then he just beat you in the slot type of a thing?
Because nobody covers him one-on-one. That's a big thing about Odell.
So me personally, if it's me, I like Higgins. I like the relationship between him and Baker. I don't want to lose that. The relationship, between Baker and Odell, do we still know, at this point, what that is? So, and Landry, obviously, he can work with anybody. So I like Landry, Higgins. I really don't want to see them go. I kind of like the idea of, hey, could we maybe get somebody else a little cheaper, to fill that role that we're looking for, Odell? But yeah, that's tough. It's a tough decision.
That's the thing. If you play the eye test, like you said, there's 2 relationships with receivers that we've seen play out and they're successful, and there's one we haven't. So
right. Yeah. So it's tough. Yeah, losing Odell is not. You know what? I don't want to just give him away.
No.
But if it meant that we were able to keep all these pieces over here intact, to have to maybe lose this one.
Especially, like I said, if you can find a burner cheaper.
Right, yeah. Honestly, you don't need a great route runner. You're just looking for a guy, hey, are you faster than any cornerback that's going to line up against you? Because if that's so, that's kind of what we need you to do.
So I think it's interesting, too, since you have Baker and Ward coming up with options. I think that's going to help kind of, open up a little bit of room.
Right,
possibly.
for right now, yeah.
For right now?
Yep.
But let me just throw some names out there. Let's say we move off of Odell. Because I don't think you can move off of Jarvis just based on the chemistry, what he brings to the locker room.
Yes, he's leadership in the locker room.
I think the fan base would go nuts if you got rid of Jarvis Landry. He's fan favorite.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mid-November, all the analysts were saying he will be a cut, like a salary cap casualty for the Browns. Everyone, I couldn't believe it. I was like, there's no way that this could happen.
Right.
But also, he had a really good end of the season.
Yeah, we're not the Indians.
So let me just throw a couple of names out there. So obviously, you have Odell at 16. This guy is coming up with free agency, and Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
Okay. What about a Sammy Watkins? What about
Blake
Will
hates
Fuller?
Sammy.
Will Fuller.
I like Will,
and
he
he's
can just stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Yep.
$2.5 million was his contract, which is crazy. Obviously, if he stays in Houston, which I don't think anybody's staying in Houston right now.
Yeah, there's like some of those teams that those guys are linked to, like that you just mentioned, like an Allen Robinson going to Baltimore. Man,
oh my gosh, yeah. And even another one that's kind of crazy, and I think a lot of people will say there's no way that Cleveland takes this risk. What about Antonio Brown?
Nah, fam.
I know, but he was the
He's a champion.
He was the 7th best receiver once he came back from the suspension.
I don't want that. You guys have done nothing but talk about the headache that Odell is. This made-up phantom headache.
No.
And
I'm
you
just
want to bring
saying,
in Antonio Brown?
Yeah, but hey, if we go back, we were kind of talking before the show, recent episodes. You wanted Earl Thomas, so easy. What you want to bring into your locker room? But I agree. Antonio Brown from 3-4 years ago, before we knew everything, of course.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't know. Somebody's going to give him money, Antonio Brown money, if he doesn't stay. If he doesn't want to stay there.
They're saying his contract will be like $2-3 million for the year.
The guy was making 20.
Yeah. It's just kind of crazy. And Godwin's another one. Obviously another slot receiver, maybe,
So I think Godwin's going to get a big payday
he is
somewhere.
absolutely
I think so, too. I think he'll go and be like a number one. I know he's been linked to that the Patriots are doing. Whatever he wants, he's going to get if he wants to go there.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just looking up Allen Robinson's salary was $14 million. So, I mean, it's not much different from Odell.
So just keep him.
So might as well just keep him. So that's why I think maybe a Will Fuller might be what we're talking about. He'd be that cheaper burner that.
Will Fuller was having a very solid season before,
I think he gets more money, too, this year. You know what I mean? He's going to get a big contract.
Robinson?
No, Fuller.
Fuller was injury prone. He wasn't the number one guy because they still had Hopkins.
Yeah.
Then he kind of flourished into that role this year when they got rid of Hopkins, and then he obviously got in some trouble. But I think, for him, he's probably going to get 8 to 9, I think.
You think so? Even with the PED suspension, people are going to be injury history now, a PED suspension. You think he's going to get that big of a payday? If
you're a team that's got the money, I know like one team that was actually looking to trade for him at the deadline was the Packers. They wanted him.
Yeah.
And, if they got a little bit of money to spend, they had him to Devontae Adams. I mean, man. But
I agree.
Free agency is going to be really fun this year.
Oh, yeah. It's going to
be really fun this year.
I'm just hoping, I want the Browns to just pick up Baker's option. So we got one more year to run it back with this squad before we got to make any of these tough decisions.
I think that everybody comes back, honestly. I know it sounds crazy, but I think that next year.
There's a fandangle these contracts. Throw this money they want in incentive stuff that doesn't go against the cap hit. Give it to them in a signing bonus. Do whatever you got to do to make it work. Like I said, the Rams were paying like 10 max contracts on their team. We were wondering how are they paying all these.
You hear every year about these star players that restructure their contracts with the team, and all that kind of stuff just to make it a little more team friendly. So all that kind of stuff can happen too.
Right.
Well, so hey, to answer your question, caller, what was his name? Kyle?
That was Michael.
Michael? We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, that's a question to ask, somebody in the organization what you're going to do.
Absolutely.
That could be an episode. Because, I mean, I could get into that kind of stuff all day about
breaking down our different money.
I think kind of what we agreed on, though, is like Higgins has to be a priority for Baker. Do we kind of feel that way?
Of the three, though, he's probably the least talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say, he's the least talented, but has the best relationship with your quarterback. So you're in that fine line. Okay, hey, let's say we let him walk. What's that do to our wide receiver core?
I say that's debatable because I think the chemistry with Jarvis is very, very strong too.
The biggest thing for me with Higgins is let's just hope nobody offers him big money.
Right.
You know what I mean? If we come
he's another kind of a problem guy too.
Yeah. If we come into free agency and some team like throws $10 million at Higgins, it's like, man, we're not going to pay Higgins $10 million.
Right.
We need him to hit free agency and crickets. Nobody's calling for him, or they're offering $1 million. Then he's like, okay, maybe I'll just stay in Cleveland.
Right.
That's best case scenario.
Yep.
All right. So what else we got?
All right. So now we've got Kyle calling in.
I'd like to talk about the Deshaun Watson and Baker trade. I don't understand how people can want to trade Baker after the year we just had and how long it's taken Browns to get back to the year we had. I know this is the first time I've ever got to see it. I never got to see the golden ages of the Browns. But for everyone that's saying they want to trade Baker for Deshaun, I just don't really understand it. Deshaun, before Mahomes' $500 million contract, he was the one that had the best contract in sports. And then he goes on his first down year as a Texan. He already wants out, so I'm not sure why we want to bring him in, waste all of our cap space on him, and then the first year we don't get what he wants, he's going to want out of there. And about Odell, I really hope he can get cemented in this offense and he isn't the distraction everyone says he is, and he can be that big-time playmaker that we need. But if we have to trade him, I'd be fine with it. Maybe strengthen up our defense a little. But I just want to say thank you guys for such a great year. I hope you guys keep it up.
Well, we plan to.
Yeah.
Right.
Are they talking to us or the Browns?
Right.
What's
That's
going
true.
on
I
there?
guess maybe we're being a little bit.
Yeah. Way to take that compliment, Blake, and run with it.
Yeah. So the Baker for, Deshaun debate. I don't think any of us were actually saying that we should trade Baker for Deshaun. My argument was if it fell into your lap, it's not as cut and dry yes or no as some people were making it seem.
There's Browns fans that actively are saying they should do it. But my thing is that if you're throwing in all the picks and all that, and I know we've argued about this, but like it doesn't make sense for me if you throw away your number one receiver, your franchise quarterback, 2 first-rounders, and a 4th for Deshaun Watson.
No.
I mean, in my take on that, I know I wasn't here for your guys' discussion on this trade. I mean, straight up, Baker or Deshaun Watson, who's better is Deshaun Watson every day of the week.
Yes.
And it's not close. I mean, that guy takes you to win. Houston's aren't as good as a team as what the Browns are and haven't been. Yeah, they had, Hopkins, but really, other than that, that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
And he had the Chiefs down. What was it, 20-0 last year?
24-0.
Or 24-0 last year in the playoffs? I mean, this guy, obviously there's teams out there that are throwing, that are going to make big deals for him. Houston doesn't want to get rid of him. Houston's pretty much saying, hey, they're going to call his bluff and see if he's really going to not report and sit out. Is kind of where it looks like it's heading because they don't want to get rid of him. For how Kyle made the comment of, he had a bad year, he didn't like how things went, and he wanted out. I think he's just kind of realizing, and we're seeing it more around the league now, that guys just don't want to stand pat and just be like, okay, well, I'm just content with playing football, making, a lot of money. Like, there's guys out there that all they want to do is win. So if they feel like they're not going to win, they're going to say, okay, hey, I went out because I only got, 8 years left that I can do this at a high level, and I want to win.
Don't want to be the next Matthew Stafford.
Right.
And another thing to comment on that, I don't think it's necessarily that they had a down year record-wise. I think the organization has lost his trust. I think they've told him things, made him promises, and then done the opposite when it comes to that kind of stuff. And, when you break trust, it's hard to get it back. So I don't think it's necessary. I don't think he's going, we won 4 games, that's why I want out. I think he's going, they told me they were going to do this, they did this. They told me they were going to do this, they did this. And, I'm not going to deal with this anymore.
And this is something that, analysts and people that I've listened to have been sort of cautioning people about for a couple years now with the Bill O'Brien stuff and kind of the bonehead moves he's made is like, be careful what you guys are doing because you are going to, like you said, lose that trust to your franchise quarterback whenever he sees the front office making moves that are just head scratchers. It's like, what are you guys really trying to do here?
Yep. No, I agree. And you can kind of see it in another quarterback that's kind of a little bit different, but Russell Wilson kind of coming out and saying, hey, I want more say on what's going on because I'm tired of, I'm tired of not having a say or taking all these hits because we're not putting together a championship team. And that's Russell Wilson. I mean, he is Seattle.
Yep. To me, players play, coaches coach, GMs GM. Okay, so I don't necessarily think players should have a ton of same personnel decisions. We kind of saw how that worked out for Cleveland and LeBron and the Cavs. LeBron demanded all his buddies get paid after they won the championship, and then it wrecked our future because we gave J.R. Smith and Tristan Thompson unbelievable money.
So I'm going to go on, it said that you brought that up. I think that the reason LeBron isn't in Cleveland is because he didn't have the relationship with Dan Gilbert. They don't like those two guys. Really, they hate each other. They don't like each other at all.
I get that, but that being said, they gave him whatever he wanted, and then it wrecked our future. We got
that championship.
Would you trade all that money or a low ball Indians contracts for one championship?
But I'm talking about post championship.
Who cares? We got one. That's all I need, bro. In my life, I never thought we'd see a Cleveland championship.
But that's not the point. That's not the point I'm making.
Okay.
The point I'm making is
if you give him too much power.
The organization gave one player too much power.
Yeah.
We sold out for all these contracts. That player still bounced, and now the Cavs are still paying for it. That's why players play, GMs GM, coaches coach.
Yeah, that's I mean, you're right, because if you think about sports, football is like a business. I mean, you know, the manager might come, you know, we got a new spot we're going to hire for. They might say, hey, here's a couple people we're looking at. We want to kind of see how you gel with them. But at the end, you're not making a decision. The manager's making a decision.
Yes.
You know?
But that being said, you know what I just said, you know, players play. If the organization tells this player you're going to have a say in it, you better give him the say in it. You can't then go behind his back and hire somebody without consulting him when you told him you were going to. So I don't think Deshaun should be demanding to have a say in player acquisition and coach acquisition and GM, stuff like that. But you told him he could, so you better let him do it. Or this is what happens.
And I think too, he kind of just said, "Hey, I really like this guy. Can you even just throw an interview at him?" And I think that they're like, "Absolutely." And then they didn't even interview the guy. Correct. So he was like, "Oh, okay, cool. Hey, I'm taking my talents to South Beach or wherever I'm going." You know,
Right? Yeah.
He's the only, I mean, I don't think he's leaving. They're going to force him to retire, basically.
And the other thing that, you know, does Deshaun Watson see Tom Brady leaves, goes somewhere else, and has all these weapons to use and all this talent, and, you know, you can tell Tom Brady's having fun.
Yeah,
Deshaun Watson's probably like, man, I wish I could go somewhere and be like that.
I miss Clemson.
Right. So, but yeah, to answer his question, I didn't want to make that trade like where we were giving a bunch of picks, Kyle, to get Deshaun Watson. But if you were saying, you know, hey, we'll give you maybe a first in Baker for Deshaun Watson, I might have pulled the trigger.
I wish you would have been here for that episode. I said that exact trade, and I'm being
only one. I'd only gave up one.
Yeah, I was mocked. I was slandered.
I don't think that's going to be the trade, though, bro.
No. That's not what no. I think that trade, to be able to make it work, it might be 2 or 3.
Oh, at least.
And
Matthew Stafford was 2.
So, and that's Matt Stafford.
I was saying if it was Cleveland and we were making that trade, I could see him saying, "Hey, we'd want Baker, we want Odell, and we want 2 firsts and maybe like 2 seconds."
Yep.
I would never do that trade.
No.
Now, if it was Baker and next year's first for Deshaun Watson, and you'd have to know contract wise that he was going to be there a while too for me to make that trade.
Yes.
That trade I would do, but more than that, no. And I'm a Baker guy.
I don't know.
That's a Sooner fan over there.
I get that, but like we're saying, I guess it's just kind of like we're living in a pretend world,
right?
So I don't get that.
Well, and if you look at, we're looking at Stafford, who, you know, he cost 2 firsts and other things, and then you look at what the Colts are allegedly offering for Carson Wentz, 2 seconds.
Yeah.
So, and you know, Deshaun Watson his talent is far surpasses those 2 guys. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, what he's going to demand in a trade, or what they're going to demand in a trade for him, is going to be just absolutely insane.
I do want to say one thing before we get too off track. I think people put too much value in draft picks. Like, everybody's talking about how the Rams don't have like a first-round draft pick for the next 7 years or something like that. Do you think they're going to care if they win the Super Bowl in the next 2 to 3 years? No. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have picked, I think it was top 10 for the last 14 of the last 15 years. You know, and they're still horrible. The Browns.
We were there for 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years. Until this year, we were awful. I think if you have a good organization, good structure, you're good at evaluating talent, especially in free agency or later in the draft, you're good at finding talent. I think known commodities in the NFL are way more valuable than what-ifs in the draft, even if it's a high pick.
Well, and kind of to go along that, Browns one of the youngest teams in the NFL. So really, do we need? I mean, we might be kind of looking the other way. Hey, we want to try to bring in some veteran type guys or some proven guys that
Spoiler alert: J.J. Watt.
I mean, something like that. To bring in the piece in to teach those young guys. Okay, hey, why are you doing things this way? It's worked for me for 10 years doing it like this.
I agree.
Be interesting.
We need to infuse some veteran leadership onto the team.
Not Sendejo.
No.
Not that veteran.
Okay, so I think we got, one more?
Nope, that was it.
That was it?
Those are our guys.
Okay, cool.
Thanks for calling in.
Thanks for calling in.
Appreciate those.
Yeah, it's super fun every time Josh tells us we got another voicemail. Those were two of our favorite out of like the 300 we got. No, I'm just playing. But for real, again, one more reminder, thedawgspodcast.com. You'll find the link. You can leave us a voicemail. Like I said, we're going to be off for a few weeks, but we want to hear your recommendations. Who do you want us to look into more when we're doing like draft research? What free agents do you want us to look deeper into? Anything you guys want to hear when we come back for season 2, drop us a voicemail and we'll get into it. We'll play your voicemail on the show.
One thing I did hear this week, people were talking about the different agenda for the draft this year and how they're not going to be having like the combine and all that stuff. So they said that the teams that can draft well and evaluate talent are going to have added success this year.
Oh, yes.
And it's going to be evident. So I'm just interested to see how the Browns do in the draft. Yeah.
I have a lot of faith in Andrew Berry.
Mm-hmm. I do too, and that's why I want to see, like, because we'll know right away, like, as these guys pan out, like, did we do well or not?
Yep.
In scouting these guys.
Yep, I agree.
Especially with a lot of these guys too opting out this past season. So.
Okay, so that brings us into why we're all here today, and why we're all dressed
spiffy.
up. I put on some of my best gear. My nicest tie. Justin's got his jacket. Josh has got his jacket on. Zach didn't get the memo because, he's just a guest star on this show now.
Right.
So we're here for the first ever Mad Dog Awards. We want to thank everybody who voted for your, the nominees. I'm sure the players appreciate it too. They've been calling me all week, seeing who won. But no, really, we got a lot of feedback on this, more than we've ever gotten on any, other kind of survey or anything like that. So we really appreciate everybody who voted, took their time to do that. Made this, in my opinion, a huge success.
Yeah, and a little spoiler, we do have an acceptance speech for the Best in Show at the end, so stay tuned.
I want to throw this out here. The only person who knows the winner of these is Josh.
Yes.
So as we're, if you can see at home with these envelopes, when we read these winners to you guys, I have no idea who won any of these. I'm going to be just as surprised as you guys, so I'm really excited to get into this.
All right, are we ready?
I think we're ready.
Okay, our first category in the 2021 First Annual Mad Dog Awards is the Offensive Young Pup Offensive Rookie of the Year Award. And who has this one?
I do. Who were the nominations?
The nominees were offensive lineman Jedrick Wills, tight end Harrison Bryant, wide receiver Donovan Peoples-Jones, and offensive lineman Nick Harris.
Okay, so let's go to the card.
All right.
The winner for the Offensive Young Pup Award was 72% of the vote, so an overwhelming favorite.
Yep.
Jedrick Wills, left tackle. I think this was well-deserved by Jedrick Wills. Solidified the left tackle position, I think, barring injury, the next 10 years.
You want to talk about hitting a home run with that first-round pick last year. Good job, Cleveland. Good job.
Didn't have to move up to get him. He got 72% of the vote on this. Coming in second was DPJ.
Yeah.
I think people really like the way he came on in, he wasn't expected. No one asked him at the beginning of the season, like, this is what we're going to expect you to do this year. But he got thrust into a role.
A Michigan guy got 22% of the vote in Ohio.
You saw glimpses. Not to steal the glory away from the award winner, but that Cincinnati game winner was like very awesome moments in Cleveland Browns history for me.
Yeah, I remember going back to the draft, a lot of experts, weren't, so high on this guy. And you got guys like an Urban Meyer said, hey, this guy has got first-round talent. I mean, and, glad that we were able, obviously it took like the injury to Odell. Hodge had, an injury in the season for him to get some playing time. But, man, he really shined. But, yeah, Jedrick Wills, early on in the season, I was a little bit worried about how he was going to handle, some of the best edge rushers in the NFL. And, I mean, mid-season on, the guy was phenomenal.
And some of the best edge rushers are in our division.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So, I mean, kudos to him, the work that he put in, and how much of it is bringing in a guy like Bill Callahan.
Yep.
I mean...
Well, and not to mention his transition from right tackle in college to left tackle in the NFL. I mean,
that's a testament
very
to
impressive.
Him and Bill Callahan. The fact, I mean, it was almost seamless, and he had to learn techniques over Zoom. He was,
right.
videotaping himself doing drills and then sending it to the coach. So I'm looking forward to a more regular offseason this year where he can get in and do even more work. I think the future's bright for this guy, and it's got to feel like we don't have to worry about this position now for a decade.
And he's only going to get better.
Yep.
Right.
The next couple of years are going to be crazy.
It is kind of nice walking away from the season going, got a head coach, got a quarterback, got our left tackle.
Front office is good.
Feeling
Ownership,
pretty good.
all of a sudden looks stable. It's crazy how winning, changes
It
everything.
sure does.
Yes. So, hey, big shout out to Jed Wills, Offensive Rookie of the Year for the Browns, as voted by you, the fans. Jed will be reaching out to your people so we can send you your trophy.
Yeah, your Mad Dog is in the mail.
Couldn't make it here to the podcast.
Yeah. Hey, I'm hoping, 10 years from now when the Mad Dog Awards are getting millions of votes, we'll be able to have these people on the show.
That's right. That's right.
And get him a trophy.
Yeah. So, sponsor the show so we can buy these guys a trophy.
That's right. That's right. All right, so our second category was the Defensive Young Pup, Defensive Rookie of the Year Award. The nominees were defensive tackle Jordan Elliott and linebacker Jacob Phillips.
Okay, and your winner is, with 68% of the vote, Jacob Phillips.
Blake's boy from the draft.
And actually, kind of surprisingly close. I thought that was going to be 68 to 32%.
Yeah, because Jordan Elliott, he got to play in spurts, but he didn't do anything that jumped off the page. You at least saw, Phillips, he had a few games this year where he was super noticeable on the defensive end, and that was hard to say for anybody who played on the Browns defense this year.
Yes.
He made plays, that popped off film.
Yeah.
And like you said, not a lot of people on our defense did that.
No.
And I think he showed a lot of promise going forward. He might be the best linebacker on our team right now.
A lot of speed. A lot of speed to the ball.
He's got a lot of room to grow. I think we were all kind of skeptical back in the draft when they took this guy. But you could see, first year he was out there even, calling plays, moving guys around on the defensive end. So I'm excited to see, another year, maybe a full training camp, what he could develop into, because there's definitely open spots on our defensive side of the ball that need to be filled.
Yeah, we need leadership at that linebacker position. And if, he can progress even more from that rookie season into that sophomore season, he could really take that huge step forward.
Let's hope he goes the opposite way of Mack Wilson.
Yeah.
And let's hope Mack Wilson can bounce back, man, because we had a lot of high hopes for Mack Wilson. And
we were itching for him to get back from injury. We were like, man, once we get him back, it might be all right. And then he got back, and he wasn't on the field a whole lot.
No, and when he was, all he did was miss tackles.
Right.
Yeah, very noticeable.
So, congratulations, Phillips.
Yes.
Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. And good job, Elliott. Like you said, I didn't expect it to be that close. So.
No. I thought that was going to be very one-sided. So, very surprising.
All right, we ready?
Yeah.
Yep.
Category 3 is the Air Bud Golden Receiver Best Pass Catcher of the Year Award. So, the nominees are Jarvis Landry with 72 catches, 840 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Rashard Higgins, 37 receptions for 599 and 4 touchdowns. We had Austin Hooper, 46 catches for 435 and 4 touchdowns. And then we had Kareem Hunt, 38 catches for 304 yards and 5 touchdowns.
All right. I got this one. The winner is, for the Air Bud Golden Receiver Award, with 83% of the vote, Jarvis Landry.
Wide receiver number 1.
Yes.
Who came in second on that? I'm interested.
Kareem Hunt with 14% was second place, so 83-14. So that left only 3% left, and Austin Hooper got that 3%. 0 for Hollywood.
Really?
Wow. That's 0.
So to answer that question, a lot of Browns fans that voted on this said, all right, see you, Hollywood. We don't need you.
You can race off somewhere else.
Oh, you didn't have to do that.
I'm not surprised that Jarvis won that award. I think probably the most popular Brown around the fan base, except for maybe Baker. But Baker, at times is polarizing, as we've seen between Browns fans. So he's just a rock at the receiving position. Doesn't score a ton of touchdowns, I guess, but just his leadership, what he is in the locker room, and it seems like he always makes big catches. I'm almost more surprised that Hollywood got 0% of the vote than I am by anything.
Yeah. And we kind of, Josh kind of put together these categories, and he kind of had to, change our wording a little bit on this to add Kareem Hunt. And a guy like Kareem Hunt was second, on this list. So, Jarvis, he played through injuries this year. He was banged up, for a majority of the year. And we've kind of talked about this before. Best free agent signing in Browns last,
20 years?
Two decades?
Easily.
Yeah. So, glad that he won that one.
Yeah, and one quick comment on the touchdowns. I know he only had 3 for Jarvis, but nobody has a ton of touchdowns for the Browns because Baker spreads that ball around so well that, Harrison Bryant had a couple this year, right? He probably had, 3 or so?
I think he had a multi-touchdown game this year.
Yeah. So, that's the thing with Baker. So when you're looking at Jarvis, it's, are you on the field? Yes. Are you running your routes? Yes. Is he out there blocking? He's a physical receiver. He's tough. He brings that leadership to the locker room. Love Jarvis.
Yep.
All right. Blake's got this one. So this is the Guard Dog Award, the best lineman. So we'll run through our nominees real quick. We know we've got left tackle Jedrick Wills, left guard Joel Bitonio, center J.C. Treader, right guard Wyatt Teller, and right tackle Jack Conklin.
So this was probably the one I was the most excited for because there's 5 legit candidates in here.
Yep.
And I know who I think should win this, so we're going to see if I'm thinking the same way the fans were thinking. So the winner of the Guard Dog Award was 60% of the vote, right guard Wyatt Teller. I don't think there's any other way to go. This was my nomination. There was a noticeable difference between games that Teller was on the field and games that he wasn't on the field.
Yep.
Almost more so than any other player on our roster this year.
Run game looked different. Offense looked different. I agree.
It's not, and it's just like the attitude he brings almost. Like when he's in the game, we're nasty up front. We bulldoze people. We're moving the line of scrimmage 3 yards downfield. Considering he was a question mark at the beginning of the season.
The only one on that line.
The only question mark on that line coming into this season, and then he gets 60% of the vote as the best lineman on our team. I think he was the number 1 graded Pro Football Focus guard in the league.
What was the rest of the percentages on that?
So
Just interested.
Second place was Bitonio at 20%. I'm pretty sure he was second highest ranked guard.
Man.
Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure Teller was number 1 and Bitonio was number 2. I think. So that's crazy for the Browns. And then in third place was Conklin at 8%.
Only 8%. The guy's a Pro Bowler.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I think you saw that people really bought into Teller this year. And then Bitonio, he's longest standing Brown. As far as offensive lineman can be concerned, he's a fan favorite as far as and then
lineman. Just throw in J.C. Treader is on.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It was 60% for Teller, 20% for Bitonio, then it went 8-7-5 for Conklin, Treader, Wills.
But I think go ahead, Blake. Go ahead.
Yeah, so even Wills was a rookie. And still got 5% of the vote.
Yeah, and I don't think any of this vote says anything bad about any of these players.
No.
It just highlights how special Wyatt Teller's season was this year. He played that guard position the way it's supposed to be played.
Tell me how many times, not even on the Browns, just in football in general, do you watch a game and notice when an offensive lineman isn't playing? I don't want to say they're interchangeable, but a lot of times people can watch a whole season of football and not be able to tell you one offensive lineman's name. And you could tell when this guy was not in the game. It was like, Teller's not playing today. Man, hopefully we can still run the ball. Hopefully our offense still moves.
Yeah.
Yep.
So congratulations, Wyatt Teller. Well-deserved was my nomination, so I'm happy that the fans went with me on that.
Absolutely. All right, moving on to our 5th category. This is the Homeward Bound Award, the Comeback Player of the Year. So we've got nominees: defensive end Myles Garrett, opposite side defensive end Olivier Vernon, wide receiver Rashard Higgins, and quarterback Baker Mayfield.
All right, guys, I got this one. The winner of the Homeward Bound Award is, with 60% of the vote, Baker Mayfield. It's kind of crazy. Don't get me wrong, Well deserved. That's who I voted for. But like, Myles Garrett was suspended half of the year last year. I just figured he would be, a little bit higher up there. And
What did he get?
17%. He was actually tied with Olivier Vernon.
Wow.
Wow, that was
Yeah.
I think it kind of maybe some of our fans took it as, Myles Garrett had a good year, but they kind of maybe expected that.
Right.
That he would have the year that he was having. I think Baker in everybody's eyes, we went into the season like, hey, he's got to prove that he is the guy.
We weren't even sure he was the quarterback.
Right.
I mean that's
yeah.
to
So
put it that simple.
I think that's kind of why he won that. The fans vote on that. Olivier Vernon, he did impress us.
Yes.
We talked about him on the show. Hey, he was another guy. You got to prove something because we don't think you're worth, what we're paying you. And he, restricted his deal. And then before he got hurt, he was really coming on there for the defense.
I think this vote splitting with Myles Garrett kind of shows that Browns fan noticed that Olivier Vernon was maybe our best defensive player that second half of the season, up until his injury.
Yep.
So it's good to see that the fans are kind of buying in, noticing that kind of stuff. So that's awesome.
That this is a show done by fans. Whenever, because you said about we didn't even know if he was going to be the quarterback. We did a show before the season started where we were talking about could Case Keenum come in and lead this team to the playoffs if we have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where we were as Browns fans, I think, before the season.
You could go back and Zach said he thought Baker was going to be on a short leash.
Yeah.
He said he thought, if Baker had a couple rough games to start the season, not just the coaches, he thought fans were going to be screaming for Case Keenum.
Right.
So, again, like you said, we're just football fans. We're not analysts and we're not experts, so we're coming at this from the same side of the spectrum as you guys. I think Baker definitely deserved this award because last year was not good.
Ooh.
Last year was not a good season as far on the field, and I didn't even like what he was really doing off the field. He just didn't look prepared to play football last year, in my opinion, and constantly going at people in the media, which I like fiery Baker, but you got to toe that line.
Yeah.
And I thought this year he towed that line because like how the name of our play was called Maserati, Little Dig at Cowherd. Those kinds of things are okay with me, if that's what motivates you. But I don't need you in a full-on Twitter battle in between two-a-days.
No,
I need you focusing on football.
And I think that really shows like him and the rest of this team bought into what Stefanski was bringing into this organization because, you see some of those post-game locker room videos of Stefanski. He's like, are we done? No. What do we want? We want more. Like these guys know that. And you hear that in Baker's press conferences where he says, we got more to do. We got more to do. We got more to give. And all this stuff. It's like, yes, keep it coming this way.
A couple of my favorite Stefanski quotes. Preseason, he said, personality is welcome. Production is a must. Something along those lines. I love that quote. And then post-game speech this year, I heard him say, he asked the team, he said, do you got more? And they say, yes, coach. He says, good, I'm going to need it. I love that. I think that's awesome. So I think Baker, like you said, he's just bought into that mentality. And you can just see the difference between a Freddie Kitchens coach team as opposed to a Kevin Stefanski coach team as far as discipline and focus.
Absolutely. I mean, if you let these guys get away with anything, it doesn't matter how disciplined they are individually, there's going to be slippage. You got to hold people accountable.
Yeah, no. So his game definitely took it to another level. He grew up, kind of matured. Going into this season, it was great to see his commercials got a little funnier.
Quit hanging out at the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been a fun year.
It really has.
It really has. We picked the best year ever to start a podcast.
Absolutely, we did. All right, category 6. This is our Dog Pound Dog Award. It's our unsung hero.
I'm excited for this one.
Yes. All right, nominees are running back, kick returner, Dearness Whatnot Johnson.
Right.
Offensive lineman, Blake Hance. Offensive lineman, Kendall Lamb. Cornerback, MJ Stewart. And defensive end, Porter Gustin.
All right, so our winner with 30% of the vote.
Split vote?
Okay. Dearness Whatnot Johnson.
That's right.
And this was a close one, so 30% won the award. Coming in second place was Kendall Lamb with 25%.
Really?
Wow.
25%.
I think people liked how he stepped in and just held down the fort when
Business
we
as
asked him
usual.
to at
that-
different positions.
Yeah, in that Steelers game too, he went mano-a-mano with TJ Watt.
Yes. Coming in a close third, Blake Hance. Third.
crazy.
Third on the list with 20%, 17% for MJ Stewart, and 8% for Porter Gustin.
I said this last week on the show. This was my favorite category that we came up with. Championship teams.
Why? Because you came up with it?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. All my ideas are the best. These are the kind of players that championship teams are made out of. You know, we talked about it. The Browns don't make it to the divisional round without MJ Stewart.
No.
You know, they don't make it. They don't make it that far if Kendall Lamb can't come in and block TJ Watt, or Hance somehow knows the playbook and knows audibles. You know, when he'd never even met Baker Mayfield before.
Right.
So, just the way these guys were prepared somehow, and they don't get the headlines. Like I said, post game, MJ Stewart probably doesn't have a single reporter asking to talk to him, and he had a huge pick, and nobody cares. Nobody wants to talk to MJ Stewart. But he just keeps lacing them up, going to work. And you need guys like that because you only have a handful of stars on your team. The rest of your team is made up by gritty, go-to-work, lunch pail kind of guys.
Yeah, a bunch of guys that just had – and these guys that are on this list, most of them, it was just that you got to stay ready because you don't know when you're – I mean, Lamb, how many times somebody goes down, they throw him in there for a series, okay? And then the guy might come back and then – oh, somebody else went down. You got to go fill in him for a series.
Well, we always thought, too, we're like, oh, we got Chris Hubbard. It's not even a big deal. We won't even have to get to Lamb. Like,
right.
We have this all-around guy in Hubbard, and then he goes down, for the season.
The biggest thing for this, too, is mentally. It's so hard to prepare like a starter knowing you're most likely not going to get into the game. You know?
Right.
Like, just to go into every practice and still give 110%, still be in the playbook, still be attentive in meetings, only to know that come Sundays,
you're watching.
You're going to be watching. You know, chances are you're not stepping on that field. So mentally, it's so hard for a lot of players to do it. Not a lot of players can be good backups.
No, and I would say if we had one or two of these guys that did that kind of thing this season, okay, maybe we got lucky picking the right guys or whatever. But I think since this is a 5-player list and we had people to choose from for this, off the practice squad, I think that's a testament to the organization, the culture that's there now, that they can vet players and bring in guys that they know, hey, I trust you to study. I trust you to be prepared, even if you're not going to play.
And to talk about our winner,
yeah,
you could argue one of our most solid offensive players in Nick Chubb goes down. And I remember literally watching that happen and everybody going, our season might be completely shot.
And Hunt was out. Yeah, at least that Dallas
game. With the groin. And Dearness Whatnot Johnson comes in and just big play after big play, iced the Colts game for us. I mean,
right. I mean, we talked about the guy enough that he got a nickname.
He got a nickname, yeah.
So,
a third-string running back got a nickname.
Right.
And it wasn't just for me. It wasn't even only for what he did running the ball on offense.
Yeah.
It was his kick returning.
Yep. Absolutely.
He set us up with good field position all season. He was just a solid player for the Browns, and I'm really happy we had him. A ton of respect for every guy on that list. That was my favorite category to pick from. Because these guys, they don't get a ton of love. And so if we can show them a little bit of love on the Dogs, we're going to do that.
That's right. And I think we are showing them plenty of love. Love these guys. That's our Dog Pound Dog. All right, so now we're going to move on to Offensive Top Dog. We got our 3 main categories left here. This is our Offensive Player of the Year award. Who's got this one?
I got this
Zach's
one.
got this?
So,
all right.
All right.
Got to read the
I got nominees first.
Yeah, just tone it down there. Nominees are offensive lineman Wyatt Teller, quarterback Baker Mayfield, running back Nick Chubb, wide receiver Jarvis Landry.
All right, and our winner for Offensive Top Dog, Nick Chubb, 55%.
Yeah, it's crazy. How good is a guy that he can miss 4 games and he's still your offensive player of the game? How important to a team is that?
Yeah.
Especially when Baker Mayfield has the year he had.
I think we talked about Jarvis being a fan favorite.
Oh.
There's few people that Browns fans like more than Nick Chubb.
Yeah.
It's his lunch pail attitude. Just, I don't need wristbands. I don't need gloves. I don't need a visor. Just give me the rock.
Yep. Right. So we had Baker came in second place for this, 37%. Then Teller and Jarvis were low 5 and 3. But I think Nick Chubb, you could tell when he was when he was out, what it did to our offense. I think he deserved it. I'm kind of surprised this is the only. Was this one of the only awards? Oh no, it's one of the other ones. One of the other ones that he was up for, out of the awards that we have. But him, his mentality. Nobody dislikes Nick Chubb. That's like one of the biggest things. It's hard to dislike a guy that you never hear from that just goes to work every Sunday.
One of my favorite things, like the behind the Browns type stuff that they do, it was Austin Hooper. I think it might have been preseason or just very early in the season. Nick Chubb did something good in the game, and Austin Hooper said something, like, hey, good job, Nick. That was awesome. And Nick Chubb just kind of, and Austin Hooper looks at Kareem Hunt and goes, damn, is Nick ever happy? And Kareem Hunt goes, that's just Nick. Right. Like he doesn't get up, he doesn't get down, he just goes to work.
Another big thing that I really like about Nick Chubb, and you can kind of see how I could see it if it was me in that situation, never gripes about the playing time situation or, Kareem Hunt going to come in, he's going to, in the fourth quarter, we're going to, kind of steady feed him the ball. We're still going to use you, Chubb, at times, but really, the fourth quarter became like Kareem Hunt's time. Mm-hmm. And he's how many guys would be complaining? If it's a Le'Veon Bell, you're taking him out of the game, you don't think he's saying something to a reporter of, well, man, if they'd have got me the ball in the fourth, things could have happened. I'd have had 2,000 yards this year. They get me the ball more.
Especially if, we lose a game and Chubb, only got a couple carries in the fourth and he's not coming out and saying anything about, I need to be getting the ball in those situations. That's just not his style.
Help me out with the game, guys. What was the game where he had the 55-yard or 60-yard run down the sideline and stepped out at the one?
Oh, my gosh. What game? That was mid-season.
It was a home game. Regardless, I can't think of what it was. I literally, after the game, so we're watching, me and my wife, every player on the Browns team went up and tapped him on the helmet. They all gravitated to him, which is crazy because usually you would see that with like a Baker, Baker going to do that with everybody. I thought that was like crazy how, important to the team he was and how unselfish he was.
Was that the Texans game?
It might have been.
But yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
Nick Chubb is just, and then we're talking about his attitude and his mentality. We haven't even mentioned the fact that he might be the best running back in all of football.
Yeah, you can make that argument. I mean, as far as like just a pure physical runner, I mean, there's not many like him.
No, I'll listen to arguments about other people. Somebody wants to tell me McCaffrey's better.
Derrick Henry. I think Chubb's better than Derrick Henry, but I'll let you make the argument if you want. Dalvin Cook, but Chubb's in that argument. He's 100% in that argument for best back in the league. And because we're Cleveland and because we've had so many down years, he doesn't get the national love, and because he just doesn't talk. Yep. But he's every bit as good as anybody else in the league. And those guys are getting touches. Those guys are getting all the touches. This dude is splitting carries.
Yeah.
I
think we kind of talked about it before the year, Justin. You kind of brought up, the Jim Brown record.
Yeah.
The rushing record, and if you don't have we kind of debated on it, hey, could he get there? He missed some games. He still had over 1,000 yards. Kareem Hunt had 800.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Well, I think we both said, too, like we all said, it wouldn't be that crazy if they both went over 1,000 yards all purpose.
And it was close.
Yeah. Yep.
Did they both went over 1,000 all purpose?
All purpose, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Both went over 1,000 all purpose. Kareem Hunt had 847 on the ground.
In 300 some receiving.
Right.
Crazy.
So, I mean, Chubb was over 1,000. He missed 4 games. I mean, he every bit. I mean, he missed a game against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep, got hurt in that game.
I mean, Dearness Johnson went nuts.
Yeah.
Imagine what Chubb would have done if he could have played that whole game. So
it was kind of interesting. So regular season, just their stats this year, 190 carries for Chubb, 198 for Hunt.
Yep.
So Hunt actually out-carried. I mean, Chubb missed 4 games.
Missed 4 games, but still, I mean, how even is that?
And there's 2 ways to look at that. If you're a player, you can say, I want more touches, or if you're a player, you can say, they're keeping my career longer.
Yep.
That's what I like, is you got both of those guys, and neither one of them complains about it. They actually both love it.
They're polar.
They love the situation.
My favorite thing, too, is they're polar opposites. Kareem Hunt is very much like he gets motivated by, pounding his chest, the crowd. He's very much in your face, aggressive, and he's super good friends with Nick Chubb, who's ultra quiet.
Yeah, so just to kind of put it in perspective, Derrick Henry this year, 398 carries.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb together, 388. Derrick Henry had 10 more carries than they had combined.
Right. And think of what
He's one
McCaffrey would
guy.
have if he was out.
Oh, my
Well,
gosh.
he wasn't out. Same thing.
Yep.
Dalvin Cook, I mean, obviously they have a talented backfield, but those guys are getting
A lot of touches.
first down, second down. Hey, do we want to let Kirk Cousins throw it? No. Okay, let's give it to Dalvin.
Right, exactly.
Hey, Dalvin,
Exactly.
Dalvin, this one's you again.
All right, well, yep, shout out to Nick Chubb, and I'm sure all he would do with that award is probably divide it up against his 5 guard dogs. So.
Right.
All right, so our 8th category is the Defensive Top Dog Award, Defensive Player of the Year. All right, nominees, defensive end, Myles Garrett, defensive end, Olivier Vernon, linebacker, B.J. Goodson, and cornerback, Denzel Ward.
I'm interested to see how this goes. Your winner of the Defensive Player of the Year award with a resounding 85% of the vote really wasn't close. Myles Garrett.
I think that speaks to the lack of production on defense this year.
I agree. And Myles is kind of a fan favorite. I did think Vernon would get more of the vote.
Yeah, I didn't think that was.
To be honest, Denzel Ward.
Yeah.
My problem is I think Hospital Ward misses too many games.
Yeah, but man, we kind of talked about it. What Teller was out, and he got the award, for being our lineman, best lineman. What our defense looked like when we didn't have Denzel Ward.
This is true. And an Ohio State guy. So I thought maybe he'd get more.
Man.
I thought Myles was going to win, but I thought it'd be more like 65 for Myles than maybe like 15 for Ward, 10 for Vernon. Goodson got 0% of the vote. That's not surprising to me. I don't even know if he'll be on the team next year.
Hey, if you look at Pro Football Focus, one of the best linebackers in the NFL this year.
I don't know if I'm buying that. So, Myles Garrett, I think Myles Garrett was on pace to have a Defensive Player of the Year award type season until he got COVID. And it was obvious he wasn't the same player after COVID. And I can't hold that against him. It's not his fault he got sick. It's not his fault that, it affected him, as bad as it affected him. But he was clearly not the player he was pre-COVID. But pre-COVID, he was unblockable until he got COVID. Unblockable.
Yeah, and the thing with Denzel Ward is I've talked to, a handful of Browns fans here and there that they kind of all say the same thing of, like, him not being on the field isn't just a this year kind of thing. This is a recurring theme for Denzel Ward. And, yeah, man, when he's on the field, difference maker.
Lockdown.
I mean, yeah,
Right.
Lockdown. Top of the league type of talent when he's on the field.
Keeps that Robert Jackson off the field when he's playing.
They already cut him.
Yeah,
They
he's
let
gone.
it go.
Yeah.
They let him go. I saw that. I don't know if it was yesterday or the day before, but I just figured Vernon would get a little bit more love. I thought he had a really, really excellent second half. I don't argue.
He came up big when we
Yeah.
needed it. Yeah.
I don't argue the picks. I'm just, it's kind of surprising. I thought that vote would be a little higher.
I agree. I'm not surprised one bit that Myles won. I think Myles was deserving, and he should be
Yes.
the winner. He's
Yep.
the leader of the defense. But again, I thought it would be a little bit closer. But Browns fans have spoken.
Yes, they
You know,
have.
they have. The Browns fans have spoken. Myles Garrett, Defensive Player of the Year for the Browns.
Yes.
All right. That brings us to our finale category. This is our 2001 Best in Show MVP Award.
2001.
2021.
21.
Yeah.
2001. Who would have been the best in show back then?
Tim Couch.
It would have been a light show.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Thank you. I didn't even catch that.
That's funny.
Okay, 2021, 20 years later. All right, so our nominees for Best in Show. Quarterback Baker Mayfield with 3,563 yards, 26 touchdowns to 8 interceptions with a QBR of 72.2. Then we have defensive end Myles Garrett with 12 sacks, 48 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. Wide receiver Jarvis Landry, 72 receptions for 840 yards and 3 touchdowns. Then we've got running back Nick Chubb, 1,067 rushing yards, 12 touchdowns on the ground with 16 receptions for another 150 yards through the air. We've also got running back Kareem Hunt, 841 rushing yards, 6 touchdowns on the ground, 38 catches for 304 more yards through the air, and 5 touchdowns receiving. And finally, we've got head coach Kevin Stefanski, because we can't do this without him, 11-5 record as a rookie head coach, 1-1 record in the playoffs.
And
Coach of the year.
And
Yes.
Coach of the year.
Throw that banner up.
Yep.
That's right.
All right, guys, I got the envelope here. Let me open this up.
I'm
real
excited
quick.
for this
I
one.
am,
I think it's only right Justin's opening this
That's
one
right.
too.
Yes, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. All right, and your winner with 38% of the vote,
Close vote here.
the future quarterback, Baker Mayfield.
Nice.
And the good thing about it is we don't have to learn from a loss. We can get better after a win. So, just the mindset of trying to be just a bunch of big, hairy American winning machines is important. I had x-rays, and I did not stay at a Holiday Inn, so I don't know how to read them. They knew that Myles was out. They knew they had to get funky on the field and just like an old batch of collard greens. It was just they played well together. Having to, after that first quarter, stop, drop, shut them down, open up shop. Oh no, that's just how Rough Riders roll. I think Myles took the approach of, real G's move in silence like lasagna. Only two things I hate more than missing throws, and that's lying and skim milk. And skim milk's just water lying about being milk. So, got to make those throws. Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, then I don't do that.
Don't be an idiot. Whenever I'm about to do something, I think, would an idiot do that? And if they would, I do not do that thing.
Wow, that was really well done,
That's
Josh.
awesome.
Good
Yeah.
for you, man. Well done on the editing there. That was excellent.
Man, that's our quarterback.
That's our quarterback, man.
That's our quarterback. And I know I catch a lot of flack, especially on YouTube, but I'm happy that's our quarterback because that's awesome.
I'm glad you came around to it because I was worried about you for a while. there,
Yeah,
man.
so is Shrum Media on YouTube if you're paying attention. I'm glad Baker won that. So I'm interested to see though
I think
how
you'd be
it
very
felt.
surprised. So,
Yeah, let's see how this breakdown went.
Baker Mayfield, 38%. A very, very deserving Nick Chubb at 36%.
Wow, close.
Kevin Stefanski at 26%. Myles, Jarvis, and Kareem Hunt all 0%. Not a vote. Not
Man.
one vote.
So a lot of people, I was curious to see how Stefanski would do in that.
Yeah, I threw Stefanski in there just because we haven't had a coach like that, in forever.
Yeah, since Belichick or
And,
Marty Schottenheimer.
Same roster, pretty much almost the same roster from last year to this year.
Yep.
And you saw what the head coach difference made. So I'm glad that Baker won. I'm glad that some of our fans showed some love to Kevin.
Who did you guys think was going to win, or who did you guys want to win?
Go ahead, Josh. Go
Well, I
ahead.
was going to say, I definitely thought that, quarterback's the sexiest position on a team. When you've got a good quarterback, you've got the guy everybody loves. So I really did think that Baker would win that award. Deservingly, Nick Chubb was right there with him, though, because, man, we're not doing this without Chubb.
For me, it was fitting that Chubb would win Offensive Player of the Year award. I was hoping it would go this way, is for him to win Offensive Player of the Year and Baker to get MVP. Because we saw what happens when Chubb has a really good year and Baker doesn't have a good year, the Browns still suck.
Yep.
But Chubb had 1,500 yards last year. But Baker did not have a good season, and the Browns were in shambles. We went 6-10. Baker has a bounce-back season, a very, very good season. We go 11-5 and win a playoff game. And to me, the key was on the word valuable. So, obviously, we are a much better team with Nick Chubb, but I think the Browns go as Baker goes. I think he's the most important person on our team. So when he's good, he's got to be the most valuable.
I also thought it was Baker. Just going into this year, all the flack that this guy takes from the media, all the question marks that are around him, all the people saying, this guy's turnover prone, he'll never grow up. For him to go one interception, basically the whole second half of the season, is crazy. Lead the Browns to a playoff win against, arguably I would say our biggest rival, at least for me growing up. It was always them. It became Baltimore later, but that's a different argument. But I like me some Baker. We don't need Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, I thought Baker deserved it as well. Going into this year, we were all kind of like, it's up in the air what we thought he was going to be able to do, because after coming off of last season, he exceeded, I think, everybody's expectations. You had to cut down the interceptions. He did that. Stop talking to everybody in the media. He did that, And I thought that over the season, he just got better and better. We saw early in the year, we were like, hey, we just want to run the ball. And then kind of midseason, we kind of found, hey, Baker's kind of on a roll here. We're throwing the ball a lot more than what anybody anticipated we would. There was a bunch of pressure on him, I felt like, to be the guy this year, and he overcame all that pressure and became the guy.
I mean, the Cincinnati game, his only incompletion down the stretch was a spike to kill the clock.
Right.
And he throws a game-winning touchdown to a 6th-round draft pick. You know, and if we don't win that game, we probably don't make the playoffs.
Right. So
every game down the stretch for the Browns was important, and I thought Baker played his best football going down the stretch. You know, even going into midseason, I made the arguments on this show, you know, but yes, Baker's playing better. You know, we're getting wins with him, but my goal isn't just to, you know, be good enough. It was to win a Super Bowl. Well, at the end of this season, down the stretch, I believe Baker Mayfield is good enough to win a Super Bowl for the Browns.
You think Baker scores a touchdown in the Super Bowl?
Oh, probably.
Yeah.
Because our offensive line is a lot better than what the Chiefs put out.
I had enough of those comments during the game around me. Was like, I think the Browns could probably score tonight. The Chiefs didn't score. Not a touchdown.
Yeah.
So,
man.
Congratulations, Baker Mayfield.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Browns Nation. You got yourselves a quarterback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thanks to everybody voting on this.
Yeah,
It was a
absolutely.
lot of fun.
Yeah, I want to say thanks to everybody who took their time to vote. We had a lot of votes. You know, when we say like 56% of the vote, it wasn't like 2 people voted for Baker and 1 person voted for Nick Chubb. You know, we had a good amount of votes, so we really appreciate everybody who took the time, made this a lot of fun. As you can see, like I said, Josh was the only one who knew these winners beforehand, so we were just as surprised as you guys were to see these winners. Hopefully you guys enjoy it, and we can't wait till the 2nd annual Mad Dog Awards.
Yeah, and I mean, do you just want to talk real quick about how much fun this first season has been and doing the show and everything?
Yeah, I mean, Josh texted me, you know, preseason and said, "Hey, are you still a big Browns fan?" And I think my reply was like something like, "Does a bear defecate in the woods?" You know? And he's like, "Well, hey, you know, I was thinking about putting together a podcast. Would you be interested?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I would be." And this was, you know, right in the middle of, I didn't have to work.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so I just had a lot of free time to fill, and, you know, it kind of morphed into something. I mean, I'm not trying to say we're the Joe Rogan podcast or anything, but this is way bigger than I ever thought it would be.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, and I just keep telling everybody I talk to, because they're like, wow, your show seems to be really taking off, and people are really liking it. I'm like, it's interesting because, like, I knew Blake way back in the day, you know, high school and college. We hung out a lot and did a lot of things together. But then, you know, after college, you know, you kind of went your way. I went my way, got married, you know, and all that. So we didn't talk a ton, but we still knew each other.
Fantasy football.
Yeah, fantasy football and everything all these years. And then I said, well, you know anybody else who could do a show with us?
I brought along these 2 losers.
Right.
Yeah, who I'd never met either of these guys before. And
I'd met Zach one time before
That's
we walked
crazy.
in that.
Right.
So, and I mean, I'm pretty sure I drank like 2 pitchers of beer that night while we were bowling. So I probably don't remember meeting him that night, but, you know.
Yeah. No, it's been a great year. I mean, you could see, upgrades in the studio, just like that alone, how far we've come from sitting around a table and, you know, and now we got this, you know, great backdrop that we get to come in here.
we were doing an iPhone on a little gimbal. And then it would, if somebody texted me during the show, the phone would,
Our first
Real
episode
story,
this year
yeah.
fell off.
Yep.
True story. So we want to thank everybody who stuck with us from that first episode, you know, where, I mean, I go back and watch that. I'm like, man,
it wasn't good.
we kind of suck.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe
talking about jerseys that were jerseys coming out.
I'm like,
appendages.
I can't believe anybody watched that. And I was like, man. And then even that episode got some play. And then it just slowly built and built. And we can't do this without you guys. And I want to give a couple specific shout outs. Ottawa, Canada, Toronto, Canada. You guys listen to us. That's so awesome. I didn't think we'd ever be international.
Yeah.
You know, we just got comments from guy out Arizona. Big shout out to the Arizona Browns backers. They all said they're listening to the show. You know, we just had a guy in Iceland message the show and say how much. So again, that's awesome to us. It's way more fun to do this show knowing that you guys are listening, knowing we're getting, you know, the feedback, even the negative feedback. I like it all. I like dislikes on my YouTube video just because we're not going to agree all the time. You know, we've
And
almost
that's
fought
fine.
a couple times on this show.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's all right to disagree.
Yes.
Absolutely it is.
So I think that's what makes it fun. And, you know, and like I said, we're not experts. It's not like I get to go into the Browns locker room and talk to these players.
Yet.
Yeah, you know. So, but I think that's what makes it fun is you know, it's just fun to sit around and talk football.
Yeah.
especially Browns football. And, you try to call into these radio stations, it takes, you might be on hold for 3 hours and never get in. Or they're talking to you and all of a sudden a player comes to the podium, so they cut you off. That's not going to happen on this. So, again, thank you to everybody who's checked out the show. We can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, I was going to say, while we take our little break here before season 2 starts, keep sending in your voicemails. Go to the website, thedawgspodcast.com. Go to the leave a voicemail and send it to us. We'll collect them all and we'll play them. We
might have a whole episode just doing that.
Yeah, we could do an entire listener feedback show. So yeah, send them in. We want to hear from you guys. We love hearing the takes and the questions and anything you guys got, send it.
Yep. So we got one more thing we need to take care of before we sign off here for a little well-earned vacation. We picked winners all season long. Wins and losses for this NFL football season, and not to toot our own horns, but we all got pretty good records. But I think we made a wager at the beginning of the season that the 3 losers would buy the winner dinner. And Zach wasn't here last week, but I did say that whoever picks the winner of the Super Bowl, it's winner take all.
Oh, is that how?
And I do believe I was the only one who picked the Bucs. And I looked pretty smart for about a half. I said it was going to be the Bucs in a defensive struggle. And for about a half, that looked pretty good.
There was a defensive struggle just on one side of the ball.
Yeah, and then they kind of blew it open. But I just said I had that feeling.
Yeah.
So, but here to review our records quickly. Right. Zach's got them all.
So total record, I ended up coming in first place with a 2-game victory over Josh.
Scorekeeper always wins.
187 and 82. Josh 185 wins. Coming in third, Justin almost came back out of that seller position. 177 for Blake, 175.
Nice.
Ooh.
So, it was, and all of us, I added it up. Justin, even though you came in fourth, picked 60, if we round up 65% of his games for the whole year. Right.
Yeah.
We did really good, I thought, for picking, and we might change up how we do it next year. We might not pick every game. We might do something different for that, but it was fun getting to talk about some of the other games for a segment on the show.
Yeah, feedback for us. What did you like about the show? What didn't you like about the show? Do you not care that we picked the games? Should we cut that out? Let us know. We had a lot of fun picking, but this show's for you guys. So
that's true.
Let us know what you liked. If you like picking the games, if you didn't like us picking the games, you'd rather us not waste our time. Made me feel good about ourselves because some of the haters out there say we don't know what we're talking about. We're picking 70% of the games correctly.
Right.
So it looks like we'll all be taking Zach out to dinner.
Yeah, at the China King. How you feel about that?
I'm not a Chinese food guy.
No, Subway.
We'll be going
McDonald's dollar menu.
Can't wait. Yeah.
So, if anybody would like to sponsor that meal, no, I'm just playing. All right, so I think it's time to wrap that up. Thank you for tuning in to season 1 finale of the Dawgs. We're going to take a few weeks off, like we said, but we'll be back before the draft to break down any prospects we're interested in, as well as any free agents we would like the Browns to sign. If you have anyone in mind that you want us to take a closer look at and talk about, comment on our videos or drop us a voicemail. We'd love to get your feedback. I've already seen some names thrown out there in the YouTube comments. We're definitely going to look into those guys. Lastly, I just want to remind anyone that may be interested in sponsoring the show to reach out. We'd love to work with you going into season 2. That wraps up season 1 of the Dawgs. Again, we can't thank you all enough for making this a memorable first season. And we can't wait to get back into the studio for season 2. Stay tuned. We got some big things coming in season 2. Can't wait to tell you guys about it. We'll see you guys all in a couple weeks.